Hello and welcome to TheAIbumMan. Today we're going to be trying something a little bit different for the kind of end of year list season. And I always focus on top 50 albums, most disappointing albums, all of that type of stuff. But I want to do something a bit different, kind of have my own mini award show for just some other categories and showcase some other awesome achievements that happened in rock and metal music in 2017. So the format's going to be as follows. For each category, and there's only like 4 of them, I'm going to announce which artists I've nominated for it, and then which I'm going to give the overall award to, and I'll give reasons for why each has been nominated in the category. Simple as. Let's see how it goes and start with the first category. Best Artist. The nominations are King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Cloud Nothings, Danny Caveny, Mike Portnoy, and Leprous. So King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, let's start. They released 5 albums in 1 year, which is a rather impressive feat just by itself, especially when you consider how diverse and different each one is from the others. You have Microtonal Flying Banana using microtuning, which is saying when you take the frets of a guitar and split all of those frets in half, creating microtones, half in the semitones, to the jazziness collaborations with Mile High Club for sketches from Brunswick East, the weird narrator in Murder of the Universe, and heck, they even released Polygonal Land completely for free, with details on how to make and even sell your own vinyl, CD, tape, all sorts of copies of it, maybe even 8-track, who knows. They really have done it all in 2017, studio-wise. But yet they also somehow managed to find time to tour, putting on one of the best live shows of the year, which was as fun and varied as their studio output, with their 2 drummers and their whole ensemble of musicians creating the fuzziest, purest psych sounds that you're going to hear. This band is cutting edge. Next we have Cloud Nothings. And I fell in love with the noisy indie rock of this American trio, I think, back in 2013, and I didn't think much could top their brilliant album Here and Nowhere Else. But I was mistaken. Life Without Sound became one of my most listened to albums of 2017, as the band expanded their sound greatly in many different sonic directions, while still keeping that dirty indie rock charm about them. And this was perfectly replicated in the live show which I saw in London, a show brimming with life and energy and a tight focused set list, with no filler or killer. They're certainly a band to keep on watching. Danny Caveny. So in this category, I can also nominate individual artists. That's why it's Best Artist, not Best Band. So Danny Caveny, what's he done this year? Well, with Anathema, he released the album The Optimist, which did not necessarily have the best reception of Anathema's career. It was an album I enjoyed immensely, a concept album from them, a follow-up to their album A Fine Day to Exit, and I thought it was a really interesting new direction for Anathema to take. It's kind of what I thought the Distant Satellites should have been, though I did enjoy Distant Satellites. I found that it wasn't as sonically cohesive as, say, something like Weather Systems, whereas The Optimist, it knew what it wanted to be, and it delivered. But he also released a solo album, Monochrome, which saw him highlighting his voice for really the first time. I mean, we've heard him do the odd bit of lead and certainly some backing in Anathema's output. We've never really heard him take centre stage of his voice, and he delivers some beautiful songs, The Silent Flight of the Raven, and he also gets a Nick Van Giersberg. I mean, I've done a whole review of the album, so check that out if you want to know my thoughts on it. And also, he managed to find time to tour with Anathema. Again, another wonderful, powerful live performance. Mike Portnoy. This guy, every year, he seems to do so much. But 2017 was a particularly busy year, even by his standards. He put out the record A Psychotic Symphony by the supergroup Sons of Apollo, with Billy Sheehan on bass, Bumblefoot on guitar, Jeff Scott Soto on vocals, Derek Sherinian on keyboards, and himself on drums. And this was his first foray back into progressive metal since leaving Dream Theater back in 2010, and is a hell of an album, which we'll see later on my top 50 albums of 2017 list. He also performed live, which I got to see him with the Neil Morse Band, playing the album The Similitude of a Dream in its entirety. That was one of my favourite albums of last year, an unbelievable live performance. And if that wasn't enough, he put together Mike Portnoy's Shattered Fortress to celebrate his 50th birthday, and this was playing the fabled 12-step suite from his Dream Theater days, a suite of, was it 4 or 5 songs that spanned across 4 different albums, and were always meant to be played in their entirety, but he never got the opportunity to do so with Dream Theater, so put together a band and they were killer. Lastly, Leprous. This was a band that I only really discovered this year. I mean, I'd heard the Grand Conjuration a couple of years ago, but I admit I was not that impressed. Here, things changed. I started listening to some of their older output, particularly Cole, and found that to be such a wonderful modern prog metal album. And then Melina was just incredible. A brilliant juggernaut of a prog metal release this year, and another band who were just unbelievable live. I saw them at Damnation Festival in Leeds, and they delivered so fully. Just an incredible progressive metal band. So the winner for this category has to be King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They've just cemented themselves this year as one of the most important bands in rock music as a whole, and especially in modern rock. When people have the gall to say that rock music is dead, they should listen to King Gizzard, because they're keeping it so firmly alive.